G'day Guardians, it's Matt here, and today I'm bringing you a quick guide on how to easily get through the Legend difficulty in Dares of Eternity. At the moment, there's currently two difficulties available, Normal, which is at 1150 light level, and Legend, which is what we're doing here, at 1320 light. This is a little bit under the current pinnacle cap for those of you that haven't quite got there yet. One thing to note with Dares of Eternity on Legend difficulty is that the modifiers are likely to change weekly, or at the very least just the set enemies that you face. In normal difficulty, it's randomly spun on the wheel which enemies will come up, but in Legend difficulty, it's predetermined, which actually works in our favor since we can better prepare for the challenge. This week features Fallen in round 1, Hive in round 2, and Vex in the final round. Unlike normal difficulty, there is Match Game, which ended up featuring all the 3 different shields, as well as all 3 champions, Void Singe, which is nice for our threaded needles and our null composures, and melee units having more health. There is also equipment lock on, so make sure you and the fire team are ready before launching in. Now, if you are strapped for a decent team loadout, we did this with 4 fire team members and it ran extremely smoothly. If you want the old friends, old couch triumph for that Vidmaster CL, which also nets you a really cool emote, then I would suggest running this with 4 fire team members as well. Now, Cryptic and I both had Phoenix Protocol wells on with our Warlocks. That way it gave our fire team 100% uptime on having a Well of Radiance. I was running Divinity primarily just to take care of all of the overloads and debuff all of the bosses, as well as Commemoration to help add clear all of the Void Shields. Cryptic was using double primary, with Tiger Spite handling all of our anti-barrier champions, Vex Mythoclast being the primary source of damage, as well as giving us that Particle Deconstruction really quickly, and Threaded Needle to help do maximum damage. Roguey was using a Blinding Ignition Code to help deal with all of the adds, as well as a Shira's Wrath just to help deal damage to those adds, as well as another Threaded Needle to deal with boss damage. He was also running Bottom Tree Void just to make use of Omnioculus, giving us that extra resistance and giving us that stealth if we ever needed any revives done in the sticky situations. And lastly, Kelly was using Top Tree Void with Starry to Scales just to give us that even better tether to help with the crowd control. He was using 7th Seraph Carbine to help with the anti-barrier champions. Lemon Arc was just a personal pick for him just to deal with their Void Shields that pop up, and Threaded Needle as well just to help with boss damage. Now, if you have dived into Legend difficulty already, whether it's with friends or clanmates or even LFG, you've probably noticed that most of the players running it will have Gjallarhorn on. When there is 6 people in the fire team and you can get that Star Horse's favor buff, spamming Gjallarhorn is great, but when you are trying to do it with 4 fire team members for this triumph, you do need to have things a little bit more calculated and make sure that everyone's running something that has a little bit of synergy to it. Now, in terms of a guide to help you and your fire team of 4 breeze through this, you'll notice in the first round it's crucial to stay alive and capture the zones where the mines are. Throughout, we just cycle wells to aggro enemies on us, while Roguey would go invisible and cap them easily. As the Divinity player, I would just target any mages or champions to help keep things smooth, since this week has Void Burn and their Threaded Needles were unbelievably strong, paired with Divinity. Afterwards, you'll want to try and line up the jump over the elevator so that you land up top. The secret here is to just line it up that the right half circle will make a full circle with one of the rotating ones. As I mentioned earlier, this will give you that Star Horse's favor buff, which allows you to regenerate unlimited heavy ammo. For those that have had the chance to jump into this with LFG or with 6 people, spamming unlimited Gjallarhorns is a great way to brute force this activity, but with only 4 Guardians, you have to be a little bit more intentional, unfortunately. Having unlimited Threaded Needle ammo across the board meant that we were able to melt anything and anything with that Divinity. In the second round, we would set up our wells basically in the middle of where enemies were spawning. At the beginning, they're more to the back of the room, but later into the encounter, everything is happening at the front of the room, so we would just rotate accordingly. We would keep our wells down on rotation, that way we would always have that survivability, and when it came time to shooting the crystals, Roguey would just go invisible to deal with most of them, while the rest of us would just handle the onslaught of adds that were overrunning us. At the end of the second round, make sure to step on the plate that represents the final boss. This week it's Zidron, so standing on the Vex plate gives everyone a free Star Horse's favor buff for the final round. Now on the final boss, to activate damage phase, it's as simple as just clearing all the adds in the room. Eventually after you do that, his shields will drop. That's when we drop our wells, we throw our tether, we throw silence and squall, whatever we have, and we start unloading. That's when I have Divinity on him and everyone else is Threaded Needling him, and with that infinite ammo, it's usually a pretty quick one phase. One thing to note is always prepare yourselves for the lightning round as well. We totally forgot about it, and in this run it just popped up on us out of nowhere, and we kind of weren't ready for it, so it kind of extended our run a lot longer than we wanted it to. And with only 4 players, it did feel a little bit overwhelming, but at the end of it we were able to clutch it and get the extra loot. But it's always just worth noting that there are some extra shields in that fight as well, so having ammo for that is always good. But that's everything from me, ladies and gentlemen. If you are jumping into this with 4 players, I hope that this little loadout guide and little encounter guide is helpful to you. Generally speaking, if you are running with 6 people, whether that's LFG or with clanmates, etc., you'll notice that everyone is running Gjallarhorn. So I guess this is useful if you don't have Gjallarhorn yet, if you can't complete the dungeon, etc., or if you just wanted to try something different. But with 4 people and 4 Gjallarhorns, it does get a little bit overwhelming. So having that Divinity and having those linear fusion rifles really does help speeden that process up a little bit by taking out the yellow bars and taking out the bosses faster, especially utilizing that Void Singe. But as always, take it easy, Guardians.